Hey everyone, it's me, Brittany, and today I want to talk to you about the fact that I am just your everyday transgender athlete, and I kind of want to address this whole trans athlete issue that's kind of been going on in society today. As an ordinary trans athlete, it kind of bothers me to see so much hate coming towards them. You know, if you watched the South Park episode a couple of weeks ago, it was pretty wrong and very offensive. And if I wasn't come to expect that from South Park, then I would really be shocked and appalled. But unfortunately, South Park's been doing that kind of stuff to all types of people for 20 years. And it's not the first time they've attacked the transgender community. In fact, they do it on a regular basis. So I've just kind of grown to be like, whatever, I don't really watch that show anymore. But it really brings to light the fact that, I've always been an athlete. Like, way before I transitioned, even as a child, I excelled in sports. I used sports as a way to mask how I was truly feeling inside, because I felt like, to my parents, as a kid, that if I excelled in sports, then I was a good boy. Like that's what boys are supposed to do. They're supposed to excel in sports. So that's what I really did. I was good at soccer. I was good at baseball. I was a very good wrestler. I was also a very good runner. To include, I was a varsity wrestler for 4 years in high school, and varsity cross country for 4 years in high school as well. So, I wasn't just a run-of-the-mill athlete. I was actually a fairly good athlete growing up. I've always been athletic, and I've always reached out to try to play sports. So whenever I started to transition, that didn't stop. That was always something about me. I've always played softball. I'm wearing right now the championship shirts that we got from the season last summer. Not this one. We didn't win this summer, but but we won last summer. And this is the shirts that I got. And and I have other shirts from other teams. I played in Hawaii, the whole issue seems to be around mostly trans women competing in sports. You don't ever hear anything about trans men, dominating in men's sports, or any other men, for that fact, cisgender men, having an issue with the trans men competing against men. They throw this huge fit. There's a wrestler in Texas that's a female to male trans man, and she's dominating the girls wrestling, because in Texas they won't let him compete as a boy. So there's all these transphobes out there saying, it's not fair, but they don't even realize that situation is the complete reverse, and it's actually completely unfair for the trans athlete being forced to compete against what she doesn't doesn't identify as. Sorry. It's really troublesome, especially, so you have that one issue, and I wish there would be more male trans athletes that would come out and be like, hey, I'm a trans athlete, and I'm just a normal athlete. Like, that doesn't make me, just because I'm trans doesn't make me any different than any other men that I'm competing against. Just like me being trans doesn't make me any different than any of the other women I'm competing against. So, there's this common misconception that trans men just, they go through male puberty, and then they keep all of that even though they've gone through full hormone replacement therapy. But that's not true, and I can personally attest to that. It just doesn't happen. When you take all of your testosterone out of your system and you flood it with estrogen, your body goes through what's called a second puberty. Even if you're 30, like I was when I first started hormones, your body's going to completely transition, and in that transition hormonally, your muscles will be affected, and unless you're consistently in the weight room and working out and lifting every day while you're on hormones, then maybe those muscles that you had before you transitioned would not be affected. But even then, they're going to deteriorate. Estrogen does that. It weakens muscles. It's just common natural thing. That's why women are considered the naturally weaker sex. So that happens with HRT. So you have an athlete like me who didn't lift weights. I wasn't really worried about that. But in the first 2 years of my transitioning, I competed as a boy. Even though I was identifying as a woman, I still understood the concept of, testosterone has the ability to work differently than estrogen does. And so in my first year of transition, when I was still full of testosterone, I competed as a boy. I didn't necessarily like it. It wasn't necessarily my choice. Matter of fact, the league that I was in Hawaii just basically said that's the way it had to be. And the reason why it was because I still had really short hair and I was not very passing. And so they were like, no, you're not a girl. And to me, that was hurtful. But, you know, all I wanted to do was play. And that's the thing with all trans athletes. Like, we just want a chance to compete. Competing isn't about always winning and being a champion and dominating the sport. Competing is about camaraderie. It's about making friends. It's about socializing. It's about keeping yourself healthy. It's there's so much more to being an athlete than just competing to win and be the successful champion. Not everybody's going to be a champion, and 95%, 99% of trans athletes don't go on to win championships throughout the world. They're just like me. They play co-ed beer league softball, you know, they run 5Ks and 10Ks and stuff like that. That's the type of athletes that we are. You know, maybe they compete in tennis or something like that. But as I said, like in the first year of my transition, before my hormones transitioned, you know, and I was fully hormonally a woman, I competed as a boy. I didn't like it, but I didn't complain because I personally believe that that's the right way for a trans athlete. A trans athlete not only needs to transition from that for themselves, but they need to transition from the male to female or female to male sport as their body is adjusting as well. So like this whole facade that, you know, the lady who won the bicycle championship recently, you know, oh, her body's, you know, she's fully transitioned. There is nothing different about her body and her hormones than any of the other girls that she's competing against. So it's baloney to say that she has an advantage. The only thing that gives an athlete an advantage over another athlete is something I will tell you that my wrestling coach told me multiple times, and that I've always, even though I didn't listen to him in high school, I've always lived to it now. You know, you're not going to get anywhere without hard work and determination to be successful. So, and that's how all athletes are successful. If you're not determined here mentally and physically to be the best and practice and really focus on the craft of your sport, you're never going to be the champion. You're just going to be your everyday run of the mill athlete like I am. I mean, it's just the common truth. So like, that's just my experience as a trans athlete. My whole belief on it, you know, and a lot of people aren't gonna like this coming from a, you know, a trans woman to other trans people. I do believe that there's a line where you need to be competing as your unidentified gender for a specific period until you reach the hormonal levels where you are equal to the hormonal levels of the gender that you identify as, and then from then you should be able to compete with no issues. I have like I said, the first year in Hawaii playing softball, I competed as a boy. It was frustrating, but I've been competing as a woman full time now for 3.5 years, and I've never ever had the problem. And I'm not dominating the sport. We didn't win this year. We won last year. And the best thing about softball is people go, oh, well, she's trans, she's dominating the sport. You know, there are 9 other people on the field. You know, I can't be the one who makes our team win. And the other sport that I do actively right now is I run, you know, like I compete in 5Ks and 10Ks and stuff like that. And I'm not winning. Like, I'm competing in my age division, I'm competing in, not just my age division, but just in the full division, and I'm coming in 4th, 5th, maybe 6th in the entire race of all the women out of like 10 that that race, you know, in my division. So I'm not dominating my sport by any means, because I don't really put in the effort that I just like the fact that I get to compete, and that's why it frustrates me with this issue, because I'm just an ordinary transgender athlete that just wants an opportunity to compete and socialize and make friends just what sports have always been for, not just as an adult, but as kids. That's what we teach our kids at a young age, that you're supposed to play sports not just to be a winner. I didn't ever tell my son that, I was expecting him to win in anything, because at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, when he's playing t-ball and soccer, all I wanted him to do was have fun and enjoy his time out there with friends that he could make. That was the point, and that's always been the point, even as an adult. Unless you're a paid professional athlete, all you're out here to do is to have fun. So this whole issue with not letting trans people compete, or saying, oh, we have to compete in a separate league or something, first off, how are we going to fill that league? There's just not that many of us. We only make up about 1% of the entire world population. How are we going to fill entire sports leagues with all trans athletes? And the issue is there, like, oh, all trans athletes, so trans men and trans women have to compete against each other there? Well, I thought it wasn't fair for men and women to compete against each other. Make up your mind, people. Like, it's really just kind of frustrating, and I've kind of like went on a rant about it at this point now. But anyways, I really don't want to go any further. I just kind of wanted to express my point of view as just an ordinary transgender athlete. So that's what it was. Anyways, I really appreciate you guys watching. I've seen my subscriber numbers go up every day. It's really super awesome. I'm almost to 100. This channel's only like 2 months old, so I super appreciate all of you guys that have been watching. I thank you guys. Feel free to share this. Feel free to share any of my stuff that you feel might be necessary or helpful to anybody else. Remember, this whole point of this channel was to help you guys, as well as to be a place for me to be able to express things that I felt, needed to be expressed. So feel free to, ask me any questions you want, comment. I'm always very responsive. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say today. I love every single one of you guys, and we'll talk to you guys all later. Please subscribe.